Hey boy, I tell you, it's getting hot here in Yuma, and we have been here for almost 6 months now doing a work camp gig, and the temperatures are rising, and so we are getting ready to get on the road. And if you watched one of our previous videos, a few videos back, we actually did a little break and went over to Tucson and went to the Escapees rally in Tucson, and there we did some things with RV Trip Wizard. And we're going to kind of talk about that today, because we found out that there's a lot of questions that people have on different things or don't understand how certain things work. So I've picked out a few different highlight ones to kind of talk about today, and just kind of talk about our trip in general, because it is getting time to leave. Hello everyone, welcome to Tigner Adventures. Well, I'll tell you, we have been in Yuma since October 13th, and it is almost April 12th. That was the date that we were planning on leaving. We are now going to push it back one more day, so we're not leaving until the 13th. But that's only a couple days away, and it's getting way too hot. So last year we spent a lot of time in the heat, and we didn't like it. And so we are hurrying to get things all buttoned up here. If you look right here, you'll see that there is not too many people left here. This is a ghost town, I'll tell you. Pretty much the only ones left are just work campers. We're just kind of buttoning up the things for the end of the season. But other than that, there's not really anything going on. So what I thought we'd do today is, as we kind of finalize our trip here and get things kind of cleaned up, is to kind of show you around Trip Wizard just a little bit more. Because when we took a break, and in one of our past videos we were talking about our little trip to Tucson, Arizona, where we did a little work camp gig there for RV Life, and we manned a booth for them. And during that time, a lot of people came up to us, asked us questions on how to do certain things, or features they wanted, or features that they didn't realize that were in here. And so we're going to kind of talk about that today just a little bit. Now, again, I want to put a little plug in here, because we are leaving Sundance, but I have worked out some things. If you remember this card right here, this is a certificate that you could have picked up at Quartzsite and at the RV show that was there. This card allows you to stay 3 nights for free at Sundance, or its sister park next door, Fortuna del Oro. That park takes bigger rigs. Sundance can only take rigs from 36 and below. Anything over 36, they have a couple sites where they could fit you in, but most of the big rigs they send over to Fortuna. So if you're 36 or 37 feet long, you can stay here, okay? But if you're bigger than that, they would send you over there. But this coupon is good for either one of those. Now, I have worked out a deal with Sundance. If you call and talk to Kimberly and explain to her that you heard about this on our channel here, then you don't have to have the physical coupon. She has one that she'll give you when you check in, so that you could still get that deal anytime you want. Now, if you're going to come and you're a bigger unit and you need to stay at Fortuna, for example, then just email us. We're more than happy to mail you a coupon. And if you just want to have one, you can do that too, and we'll just email us. You can get to us by going to Tigner's at tigneradventures.com. It's in our description below, and you can send us off an email, and we'll be glad to send that off to you. But anyway, this is just a little plug for them, just because we really enjoy this resort. There is absolutely no sales pitch. I just was looking at one we're going to go stay at, and there was a big sales pitch. It's like, okay, never mind. No, there is no sales pitch here. There is, you check in, you get your 3 nights for free, and that's the only time you see them again is when you check out. So you can kind of wander around and just check things out, ask questions if you want from different people, or if there's anybody left in the park this summer, because a lot of them are leaving. There's about 40 people left out of the 450 when during the summertime. But anyway, it's a fun place. So check out that coupon. Let them know that you heard about Sundance through Tigner Adventures. We appreciate that. We get absolutely nothing for it. This is just a service for you guys. So we just want to make sure, especially if you're just traveling back and forth and traveling through, it's a great place to stop for a few nights and get charged up or whatever and continue on. So, but anyway, today we're going to talk about RV Trip Wizard. Now, one of the things that makes RV Trip Wizard way different than all the rest of those things out there, the majority of them. I haven't found one that does anything different yet. If you know of something, you can always tell me. That's fine. I'm always looking for something. I want to see what features other things have so I can suggest things to these guys. But these guys, first of all, their customer support is outstanding, and it's great that you can email them and they'll jump right on issues and things like that with you. Whatever, they'll explain how to get around things. Whatever. But with RV Trip Wizard, it's based on nights. So when I put a stop in, I'm going to say how many nights I'm going to stay there. It automatically advances my calendar up for those amount of nights, and it's very liquid. I can move those, I can change those dates and things, or not dates, but change those night stays, and everything just automatically adjusts. Other planning software basically is based on, it's like I call it like a road trip. You're gonna put in point A to point B, and these are all my stops. That's how it's going to take you, and it will direct you that way. That's great. But if you want to actually map out the number of nights, then the best thing to do is to have something where you can put it in there, and then of course when you make your reservations, you can lock those dates in, and it does a very good job. You can still move things around, but if it conflicts with some of your reservations and things, then it lets you know right up front that, hey, there's a problem here and you need to fix it, or at least be aware of it so you can change your reservation or something like that. So we're going to talk about that today. You can see here that we have 184 nights that are actually set up here. And the first thing I wanted to do, I just made a copy of our trip. I've been kind of messing around with this. I actually use this for our playing around when we were at the rally, and so in this demo version I have here that I've been making all these changes on, I've messed up a couple things, and so now my you'll see a lot of these little red gas pumps everywhere saying you're out of gas, is because I did something here, and I'm not sure what I did right off, but I thought, who cares? I just want to show you some different little features, and then I'll show you our real map of what we've done now and how that's working. So the first thing I want to point out is up here at the top left where it says, our very first stop, we're starting at Yuma, Arizona, and it has 4/12 there for the start date. I mentioned to you that's going to change. And so anytime you highlight any one of these different connections here that we have entered here, you'll see that there's a little box that pops off over here, up over here, that has edit, lock this trip stop, or delete it. And so if I look up here and I do that over here, I still have edit, and I have a trash can, so I can delete that stuff if I want. But the nice thing, this is the very first stop. The first thing I can do here is just edit this, and I can just say I'm not starting on the 12th anymore. I'm starting on the 13th, and then save that, and it automatically adjusts the whole trip. So now all the dates are accordingly. So now it's the 13th. We're going to travel to this Lone Tree Dispersed Camping on the 13th, and then on the 16th we're going to stay there 3 nights, play around Lake Havasu, and then we're moving on according to this trip right here, right now. All right, so you can see how it just automatically moved these dates up. So for the first thing I wanted to show you is one thing that I don't use this too often. Basically, I just look here, and if you notice, it says miles/hours. And so it's 168 miles, and it's going to take 3 hours and 21 minutes. That's based by my what I say that I travel per hour on an average. That's what I look at when I'm actually figuring out the distance between each one of my stops. But I'm going to show you a different way to make that a little bit easier, that you may like. So if you go up here to this toolbar, that's a little wrench, and you click on that, then the first thing you have here is trip settings. If you click on trip settings, and you type in, or you click on this routing, and then on the routing side I specify how I want to do my different routing, what I want to avoid and things like that. But if I look down here, right here in the middle of the screen now, I have my average driving speed. I've set that at 50 miles per hour. Okay, now right above here I have drive time estimates. How do you want the software to estimate how long it's going to take you to get there? And instead of using its routing engine, which was based on the mileage and or the miles per hour, this is how most software works that you use to route somewhere. They look at what the speed limit is and they say, okay, this is how long it's going to take you to get there based on the speed limit of all those places you go. So you can have it do that also, but when you're in a motorhome, you go slower up hills and maybe a little faster down hills or whatever, but it's not always the same, and so typically it'll keep adjusting those times, and it will even do that with this. In this case, I'm saying use my average driving speed of 50 miles per hour. That's taking in all my stops and everything. It's going to take me this long. I'm averaging 50 miles per hour, so that's where I put it in here. Now if I'm driving along, they say like it's going to take you 4 hours to get to wherever, but if I'm driving faster than 50, then that number will go down just like anybody else. If I'm driving slower, going up hills, a lot of hills or whatever the case may be, and I'm going a lot slower, then that will increase your hours before you're going to arrive. So all of that is normal, but this is where it's actually controlled. So looking back down here now, we have another thing that I don't use right now, but it's something that's pretty good, and that's the show advanced driving radius, show classic driving radius, or don't show the radius at all. Okay, now I've clicked on this advanced radius. This is the one that I like the best out of both of these, because the classic driving radius was just circles, so it's as the crow flies, and I'll show you an example of both. But anyway, and then you can also say that you want to set a distance, or you can just do it hours per day. So we're setting ours here to be a maximum of 3 hours per day. So I've got that, but I can do distance, and if I click on this distance thing, then I can go down here a little bit more. It will set up 3 different rings, and I can have them be different distances, so I can get an idea how far things are away or where I want to do some of that. So anyway, I'm going to go back to this average hours per day, so I'm just going to click that on there, and I'm going to save this, and I want to show you what it looks like on the map. So when you click on a stop, so I'm just clicking on Yuma right here, our very first one. Now if I shrink this map down, because it zooms in on it when you do that, but you can see that there's this jagged line here going around with my center stop here being Yuma. What it's saying is, based on the roads that are here, these are the farthest I can get on this particular day with this particular, using this. This is going to be out 3 hours. So you can see my first stop here is right over here is this Lone Tree Dispersed Camping. It's 3 hours and 21 minutes away. It's right here. It's outside of my 3 hour thing, so you can see it's saying I can get to this point by 3 hours, but we already know it's another 21 minutes past that 3 hour mark. But you can see how that all works right there. So that's the advanced option. Now I'm switched this over to circles. You can see how it looks based on how the advanced option actually looked for its routing. Now in this particular case, I turned off the 3 hours, and I also turned it on so it shows mileage. So right now this green circle is 75 miles away, this is 125 miles, this is 200 miles away. But I don't like this particular because to get to there's no way, if I'm going to someplace right here, I have a stop that's out here, for example, there's no way that that's really going to be that mileage there. It's like the way the crow flies kind of thing. And so I don't like this as much, but it does give you an idea how it actually works, and so it just gives you a greater range there. So it's a little different way to look at it. I do like the advanced option if that's what you want to use, because it gives me a more precise area as far as moving up and down the roads. But this gives you a generalized option also. And basically I'm doing the same thing over here when I just say that Lone Tree is going to take 3 hours and 21 minutes. I don't care about the graphical things, so I just go along there as I'm making my trips. So I try to break up my days accordingly. So another question that people asked me was, I said that my fuel tank was 75 gallons, but I've been driving around and I've been parked here, and now I'm planning a new trip. So I only have like 50 gallons in my tank right now. So how do I start my trip out with 50? Because it's tracking it here, but it's for sure that I'm getting, I don't have that much right now. So what I want to do is, if I go up here to the first stop, again, this is where we put the new start date in there, and I edit that, then over here you'll see that my starting fuel here is 75. So I can go ahead and just type 50 there, and I can also put in whatever price per gallon that I want, and that's how it actually calculates that price out. And then I can actually just save that. And then what it does is now my trip is starting off with 50 gallons, and it's going to show me that by the time I get to my first stop here, which is, Lone Tree, if I edit this one now, it'll show that I used 27 gallons to get here. I only had 50 gallons to start with, and so now I have arriving with 22 gallons. Now within my settings, I said that I wanted to have a reserve of 25 gallons, and so that's why it's showing me that I'm out of gas right here, is because of that. But now let's just click out of here for a second and then go to the next step. So here's Smith's Fuel Center. This is where I'm going to get gas when I get there. And so I get to Smith's. If I edit this right here, this actually shows me that fuel used was another 8 gallons, and my arrival fuel is 13 gallons, and I'm going to fill up, and I've already got some in here because I had already edited this prior. But if I want to actually, this is my fuel station, and I want to actually start tracking actually how much fuel I'm using, then I'm going to actually top this off. So if I just click off, top off, this actually puts me back to 75 gallons. And when it does that, it's based on that. Now this comment here was something I looked up the gas price when I was planning the trip. It was $3.49. Now the price is going to be a lot higher. I can actually modify that, and it will update my costs on my trip right here. So let me go ahead and save that. Now I want to point out here that it does still have these red gas pumps here, because this is, I ran below what I said it was going to be, and so, or what I wanted for my reserve. And so even though I was able to make it here, I had 12 gallons or something left or whatever, it's just showing that I'm looking at that there was still kind of a, I went below that reserve, so that's why that still shows there. But now let's just go into another option here. There's two other things to look at here. This is where Smith's is. This is in Kingman, Arizona. If I right click here, it comes up with this option here. I can actually just create a custom stop here if I wanted to, but I can check the fuel prices in this area, and I can actually look at Google Street View. And so let's look at fuel prices first. So I'm clicking on that, and then this is what you see here. So this is all the gas stations, well, at least the majority of them, what it could find, that's actually located around Kingman, kind of all bunched up there. And I can kind of zoom in here to get, kind of separate them out just a little bit. But right down here, it actually has the name of the different stations, and you can go up and down based on how many actual stations you have. Over here to the right, you have, it says transaction time. So this is something that was reported to whatever service that these guys used to calculate that. That was a transaction that was taken care of on that. So on 4/8 at 6 p.m. there was gas that was pumped from Circle K here, and that was the price that they paid, $3.32. So this is pretty up to date compared to another app I use is Gas Buddy. But one of the issues with Gas Buddy is it's only updated by individuals that are visiting there, and if people aren't updating it, then the price doesn't have the real price there. So this has the actual transaction price, so you can see a pretty good what the price really is based on that. So alright, so then over here to the left, I also have unleaded regular. So over here on the left, I have unleaded. So now if I go over here on the left, you'll see I have unleaded regular selected. But what if I don't burn on regular leaded? I can always click on that, and I can change it to whatever I want. So if I'm a diesel rig, I just click diesel and say submit. That will update, and that's the prices of diesel at those particular areas. So this looks like a pretty good price, $2.95. This was on $3.29, so it's probably actually gone up. This is like one of those little businesses that is probably their own trucks or something. But anyway, that's why that's probably that way. But anyway, here we go, $4.19, whatever. So it gives you an idea how that actually works. Now the other option here is Google Street Views. It shows us the streets as we're driving downtown here. So if I just kind of click on here, I can see that I'm coming up to this Smith's gas station, and which is a Smith's grocery store. But as I come into here, there is Smith's. So I can, based on Google Street View, I can look to see, you know, what the entrance is going to be, what the best way is of getting in and out of there. A lot of times there might be some median over here and we've got to make a left turn because it's on the other side. So that's something to know ahead of time, so that maybe we have to go up here to the corner. So we can come up here to the corner and make a, you know, just, now this is just Google Street View that we're using here. So we're just going to come around the corner here. Whoops. You can see there is Smith's right there. And we're going to just come in over here. Kind of in the wrong lane here. But you can see that here's the turn in right here, so I could actually turn in there and work my way around back over to the gas station also. So that's a pretty cool option. I like to use that Google Street View, kind of give me a heads up as to what I might be looking at. Another thing you can do is, if you look here, you've got your satellite view. So if you click on, these are all the different types of maps you have, and you can click on satellite, and then you just get a bird's eye view of what that whole setup looks like also. So just another method of looking at things, kind of get a view of what's going on. Now I'm going to leave Kingman and I'm actually headed up to Las Vegas. And I mentioned that before in my videos that I don't like staying in Las Vegas, so I'm using this feature up here called drag and drop. And to use that, you have to turn on, and then as you do, then you'll notice that there's a little circle that appears by my hand right there that's on the map. And that means I can click right there and drag that route anywhere I want. Now, if you don't want to use drag and drop, you don't want things popping all over the place, then you really want to turn this off, because then that way, if you look here now, when I move my hand over, I get a different, you know, it works different. So I don't accidentally grab my route and drag it somewhere without thinking about it. So I always leave that off normally. But you'll notice that there's all these little single points here, and over here on the map, they're called wave points. And so if you wonder what these little waypoints are, as you highlight that waypoint over here on the map, you'll notice that this area right here will turn red. So if I go over here, it's red. So that if I decide, you know what, I don't want that particular waypoint, I can go in here and just delete these. Then my route starts changing all around differently because I'm deleting those waypoints. But by highlighting those, I can see exactly which ones are actually, you know, being used. So just another way to actually kind of work your way through your map and make it go where you want to make it go. So that's one of the cool things I like about this. Now at the bottom of this map is an option here called elevation. If I click on elevation, it shows me my different elevation going along here, and you know, basically I'm starting in Yuma at 95 feet, and I'm working up to this one point up here, which is about 8,000 feet. And if you look up here on the map, I can't put my cursor up there at the same time, but right there at the middle of the map, there's a little orange circle going back and forth. As I move my mouse along this elevation grid right here, it's showing me exactly pinpointing where that elevation is changing. So I can see that at this particular point right there, it's right hiding right on top of that red dot right there, but just outside of Cheyenne is I'm going to be at 8,606 feet right now. And as I move forward, I'm dropping down into Cheyenne. You can see that I am dropping, and basically as I go out into South Dakota, you know, my elevation is dropping clear down to 1,273 feet, 1,240 feet right there. So it's really cool how I can watch the route to see where things are going, and if that's, you know, just to know what my elevations might be. Now, one thing that's really cool too is that I can look at this show gradient right here, and if I click on that, then it actually breaks up these you know, elevation changes and starts changing different colors here. And up here in the middle of the or at the top of the elevation thing has different gradients based on what kind of an elevation change it is as I'm driving along. So for example, you know, as I get up here into the 7%, then it starts turning red. And if you notice along here, there are a number of different routes that I have where I'm actually, you know, hitting some red spots, meaning that the elevation climb or as I descend, I'm going to have at least a 6% grade. Now, I use another program called Mountain Directory. It's on our affiliate links under tigneradventures.com/affiliates. It's listed right there. It's a really cool thing. You can get it, download a whole electronic thing. It's only $20-something or something like that. But this is what truckers use to actually figure out milepost by milepost what is happening on those particular areas that we have red lines here. So what I like to say is basically what this is doing, it's not giving us all the detail, but it's definitely telling us that there's something here that we need to be paying attention to. So whether it's the elevation, if you have a harder time breathing at a higher elevation, then maybe you don't want to be up at 8,000 feet, or just the elevation decline or incline, what's that going to do as far as getting up there and back down again. And so also, if it's a really big climb, like I mentioned before in one of our videos, we actually ended up going over Teton Pass. It was a 10% grade for like 2 miles. And so we end up taking our tote off. Well, you can decide, when you look at some of these, you can go, wow, that's going to be really a strain on the vehicle. Let's take our tow vehicle off, and we'll be able to climb that a lot better or something like that. So it's just information for you to see and work out as you're making your trip and mapping out your trip. So the next thing I want to show you is our memberships option. So if you look here under this trip tools, you'll notice the second option down is memberships and clubs. So if you click on that, it has all these different ones listed here. It shows the most common ones that people typically have. So you can kind of skip this area right here. They'll highlight as you go down through here, but this is all the campgrounds. So as I'm going down here, I can do like AAA type campgrounds, clubs and things, different BLM campgrounds. That's not going to be dispersed camping areas and things like that. This is just going to be actual campgrounds that you can stay at. If you want to look up dispersed camping for boondocking, things like that, I use an app called Campinium. It does a pretty decent job on that, and I can actually add anything I get from Campinium, Harvest Host, Boondockers Welcome, any of those other types of clubs out there that are private. They don't want to share their database, because that's why you pay them, is to see what's in that database. So they don't want to just share that with everybody. But you can go in there, grab that actual information, and you can add it into your trip. And I'll just show you that here in a second. But this is based on all those other things that are more public. All right, so city parks, here's our Canada type things. And so when we select all these, then that's what makes up what kind of options are going to be suggested to us. So if we don't, for example, here's Yogi Bear. Now, we don't want to stay at Yogi Bear. It's a pretty pricey resort, so we can just leave that off. And we don't belong to Yogi Bear, so we just don't do that. So then once we get that done, then the next thing we do on this thing is to pick out the sort order. And you can just take these and you can just start dragging and dropping them however you want to figure out what sort order you want. Now, whatever you do here, one thing to realize is that this is affecting all of your trips, all of your maps. This is the data that will be used on all of them when you say show me something. It's only modified here, and then it shows it everywhere. So just be aware of that. And actually it says right up here, your preferred campgrounds are updated for all trips, including this one. So just that little highlight there. But you sort that out the way you want, and then you're going to come to display. So display only your preferred campgrounds or show all the campgrounds. Now, if you only show preferred campgrounds, that is the ones that we just chose. If you show all campgrounds, then that shows everything, whether you picked anything or not. It doesn't matter, it just shows them all. So that's why typically you would say show preferred, because that's the ones that you were interested in, why you went into this option to begin with. But now if I go over here to the right up here at the top and I click on this option here to show my campgrounds, you'll see a bunch of different options up here. And so then as I start zooming in, then it will show me kind of what they are. Okay, so the little green tents, they were just kind of a generalized thing, but once I get there, it'll actually zoom in far enough, it'll start showing me what's going on. But I do have this little research thing here too. If I click on that, then it brings these out here. You can see that this one right here is the little brown dot right here is blinking as I highlight this. So I can now start moving up and down here and seeing the things that are on my map here and getting an idea what those are, and tells me right here what my star rating on them is, so you can see right away, like, okay, maybe this state recreation area here is not that great, maybe I don't want to go there. And so it starts going through here, and that just gives you information. And when you click on this, then it actually brings you into the regular option here where you can add it to your trip, and you have all these other features like I've shown before on previous videos. So anyway, that's how you deal with memberships. There was some talk about how you get to different memberships like Corps of Engineering and things like that. This is how you add those in. Now, it's not going to have everything like I said before, so one of the apps I use is Campinium. I really like that app. I've been a member of Campinium for a long time. So anyway, if you find that, or I belong to Boondockers Welcome and Harvest Host also, if you pull those up and you find out where those are, whether it's longitude and latitude or an address, you can actually come right here, search for a location, and you can actually add that location in here. So if I was going to go, I'm just going to put a town in here right now. Let's just say Dallas, Texas, just because I thought of that for a second. So here's Dallas, Texas. So if I click on that, it automatically takes me to Dallas, Texas. And right there, I can now add in a stop, or I can look at these campgrounds and add those in. But I can just say more details, and I can just say this is how many nights I want to stay there, and save that, put it in this particular area of my map, and it automatically does it. Just because RV Trip Wizard doesn't have everything in there that you want doesn't mean that you can't use it. A lot of people were saying it just doesn't have the places that I stay. Well, whatever you use, they want Harvest Host to be in there, but again, Harvest Host is a private company. They're guarding that database that they have, because that's what you pay for. So they're not going to just let everybody see where a Harvest Host is. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. It would be cool to have it there, but it doesn't mean you can't put it there. You just go into Harvest Host, look up your site, say, okay, I want to stay here. You just grab that information, and they'll send you an address and everything once you are okayed for the stay, and you just take that and dump it in here and save it, and you got it. The same way, so it's just another way of coming up with that information. The last thing I want to show you is how to actually lock your stays in. I mentioned that one of the things I love about this software is the ability that you can actually just move stays up and down. So if I look right here, I have these dotted lines over here. I can easily just move this stay right there, and it automatically adjusts it. And so you can see it just changed it, the dates automatically. Now I'm coming in here still on the 28th, but I'm not going to get gas here until July 5th, because I'm there for 7 days. So I really like that feature. That makes this mapping thing, out of everyone I've seen, this makes this so simple, and that's what makes these guys worth having. Again, we have a link. You can save 25% just by using our link that's in the description below, or going to our affiliates page on tigneradventures.com/affiliates. You save 25% for your first year. And then after that, if you lock the price in with the auto renewal, it never goes up past the $59 that it currently is being offered for. So when you lock that in, then that's the price you'll pay from now on. But your first year, using our coupon, you can get 25% off. And so that's what's pretty cool about this. You can at least go out there and try it. It gives you a 7-day free trial, but you can save some money, and it's a worthwhile thing to have. But let's just talk about, dig into this just a little bit further right here, because you can see that I'm staying at this tunnel campground, mountain trailer park. This is actually in Banff, and we actually made the reservations for 3 days. So the 3 days we got was going to be from the 28th, is what date I have on here right now. And if I go over to this, I'm just going to do it through this edit option. I can do it through the lock option or the edit. So I'm going to edit. You can see that I have this option to just lock. And if I do lock it, that's locking in the dates that I had, which was 6/28 through 7/5. Now my reservation was actually for 3 days. I decided to stay in town for 3 days, and then we're going to go up north a little bit further and stay also. So what I do is, if I click here on this map, it shows me that my starting date is the 28th, and it's going to go through wherever. Okay, so the way that this map works is, it's kind of interesting. When you look at this right here, you would think that the date you're editing is going to be this last date. So it's a little deceiving on how this is laid out here, but basically you can't type anything here at all. The thing you're going to type on is this map right here. So click on that, and then you're going to pick the first date, or so if I just say the 28th, I click once, you can see that now 28 is the one that's on the map. And then if I come along here, I'm going to go over to July here, and I'm at the 28th of June right there. I'm coming down here, and I'm going to stay only 3 nights. So I'm going to go here. You can see how it's kind of highlighting that out, and I'm going to stay those 3 nights. Let's see, 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights. So I'm going to leave on the 1st, and if I click on that, then it modifies these here dates to say the 28th through the 1st. Over here on the top right, my nights have been modified from 7 nights to 3 nights. So that's how you do that. So you just click once, move it to where you want it, click again, and then that fills in this date range for you automatically. It also brings up this option here, this reservation info. So you can put in all the info about your reservation. And I also put in here under comments, I put in things like the phone number of the place and things like that, just so I have all those details. But now when I actually save that, then you'll notice that the map here has changed. There's actually a little lock over here now, and it's so this is actually locked in there. And so now if I say, okay, I want to add something, like for example, my days are automatically came up to this 628. So if I come up here to this other campground and I say, you know what, I want to stay here for some more nights, and I edit this one and I say 3 nights here and hit save, then now I get this message saying that this is going to conflict with my locked in date that I had on there, because it's tracking it. So I've locked in, it's at least notifying me there's a problem. So now I can go back and change my reservation where I was at, or I can say, okay, well, I can't stay here 3 nights, I'm going to have to move on because I have a reservation. So that's one of the cool things about this that I really like. So again, here is our real map that is all set up for the summer. We're continually changing this. It is listed on our website under tigneradventures.com. Up in the top right hand corner is our 2023 map, and you'll be able to see where we're at. Well, that covers everything that I wanted to cover for you today, and hopefully that's been very helpful to you. Let me know, again, subscribe to our channel, give us that thumbs up if you can. We do love helping out where we can, and again, we are now getting ready to head back out on the road. So Ninette and Tansy will be back with me on the next video as we actually leave Sundance and head on out. And remember, you can go right here, or it's in my description below, the actual playlist for all of the RV life videos that I've done, to give you little pointers on things. And the presentation that I did at Quartzsite is there also, that goes through a lot of the extra things here. I just wanted to kind of highlight a few extra things that I found out that I did not cover in those presentations before, and just give you a heads up on those. So with that said, that ends this video. Thank you for watching, and please follow us along as we get ready to take off on our new trip. So we're pretty excited. It'll be a lot of fun. We're excited that we're going up into Canada. We're going to go visit some of our Canadian friends that we've made here at Sundance, and and see how life goes from there. So again, thanks for following us, and we'll just plan on seeing you down the road somewhere, and if not, then hopefully we'll be on our next video. So take care.